Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're talking about all about the jinn today. When it comes to Islam and the unseen realm, one of the most captivating aspects are the jinn. These invisible beings are constantly surrounding you and interacting with you on a daily basis. And if you're not close with God, they can even physically hurt you. But the vast majority of people are completely clueless to this reality. And that's why I'm making this video right now. This video is meant to give you a comprehensive understanding of these invisible beings and how to protect yourself from the evil ones, i.e. the shaitans. Let's get started. So who are the jinn? Well, as the Quran says, the jinn are the people made out of smokeless fire. What does this mean? This means that they're made out of energy. And the thing is, guys, these entities, they can see you, but you can't see them. However, you can feel their presence. So jinn in Arabic actually means to hide or be hidden. So where are the jinn? Where exactly can you find jinn? So obviously you can't see them, but in the spiritual realm, you're gonna find most of the jinn reside in desolate places such as the oceans, mountains, caves, forests, places like these. Now, in cities, you can still find jinn, but most of the time they're gonna be places with not a lot of people. This will be like abandoned buildings, construction sites, graveyards. These are your best bets where jinn are gonna be hanging out. Because the thing is, guys, most jinns don't wanna interact with people at all. All right, despite what some people think that all demons are evil and they're all trying to mess around with us. Nah, that's not the case at all, guys. They're neutral, just like us, just like me and you. Some are good, some are bad, most are in the middle. The good ones you're never gonna interact with. The bad ones, these are the ones that give the rest of them a bad name. Now the thing is, some jinns actually live with us, especially if it's filthy, because filth attracts them. So a good way to keep away the jinns is to clean up your place. That's a really good way to keep them away. So what do jinns look like? So in the physical realm, obviously they're invisible, so you can't see them. But in the spiritual realm, if you can actually look at their natural state, you're gonna see them with horns, sharp claws, sharp teeth, a tail with a point, bat wings, sort of like the stereotypical demons you see in cartoons and movies. That's exactly what they look like. They didn't get that just out of nowhere. They didn't make that up. That's really what demons look like. Now, how exactly do jinns move around? A lot of jinns walk on two legs just like us. But there are jinns out there that walk on all fours, like dog and cats sort of jinns. There's jinns that can fly. So they kind of fly around like bats. For example, there's jinns that look just like bats that fly around. There's jinns that swim. So a good example of a jinn that can swim is like mermaids, undines. Right? If you're familiar with elementals, undines, mermaids, these are based off of jinns. Now how fast do they move? Jinns, guys, are super fast. They're so fast that if you saw a jinn and it didn't want you to see it, it would look like it disappeared, but in reality, it'd be running out the room. They're just ridiculously fast. So what sort of abilities do jinns have? Jinns have a ton of abilities that we as humans perceive as supernatural. But in reality, it's actually natural. It's natural for them, but supernatural for us. I've compiled a list because it's really important that we know what weapons these things use against us, so we know what to expect and how to protect ourselves. First things first, guys, evil thoughts. So the jinn, as the Quran says, whisper in your ear, meaning that they can implant negative thoughts about yourself, about other people, about your life. This can be super deadly, especially for the spiritually ignorant, which is 95% of the world. These thoughts sound exactly like your thoughts. So if you're not aware of this reality, you're gonna think these negative thoughts about yourself are coming from yourself. You're gonna think these disrespectful thoughts about a person that you don't even know. And you're gonna, if you're not spiritually knowledgeable, you're gonna actually think that you believe that. This is what causes discord amongst people in the world. It's from the jinns. Rest assured, guys, that if you're having negative thoughts about yourself or other people or even about your life, you're depressed about your life, this is 100,000% a jinn implanting these thoughts in your mind to bring you down and keep you from realizing your full potential on earth. Ignore these thoughts. It's not you. Fire setting. So the jinn guys are able to start fires like that. Now, not all fires, absolutely not. But the fires that mysteriously start and firefighters can't figure out what happened, guys, 100,000%, a lot of these fires are started by jinns. These people that were in the house, maybe they were doing some sort of occult things, rituals. They opened some sort of doors for these demons to come in, start that fire. And on rare occasions, sometimes these jinns can set people on fire. This is known as spontaneous combustion. It's super rare, but it does happen. These boys can be extremely dangerous. Physical assault. So jinns, if you don't have a close relationship with God, they can physically assault you. This can come in many forms. This can be like bloody scratches. You wake up with bruises all over your body. You wake up with bite marks all over your body. They can also choke you, press on your chest so you can't breathe, and suffocate you. This is a known thing in Islam, guys. This jinn has a name. It's called Al-Kabus. And it's the jinn that is responsible for sleep paralysis. So if you've ever had sleep paralysis where you wake up and you can't move, you can't breathe, and you're like, you wake up, you're gasping for air, guys, 100,000%, this was a jinn that was assaulting you, trying to hurt you. Okay, if this ever happens to you, immediately get out of bed, pray to God that He protects you from these things, and He'll deliver you. He'll protect you. A lot of people don't know this. That's why I'm making this video. Some jinns can essay you. So this could be, you have a wet dream. Maybe you have an orgasm in your sleep if you're a woman. A lot of people, the vast majority of people out here think this is a free good time. I'm sorry to say, it's not a good time at all, because what happens, these sexual jinns are taking away your energy, your light, that protects you from evil, that gives you energy, that makes you feel good, coming from God. They feed off of it. They feed off the sexual energy. So what happens? Well, the next day, you're gonna be feeling fatigue. You're gonna have bad luck. Maybe you might have a flat tire, maybe you slip and fall, stuff like that. Other people are gonna be cranky with you. This is not because of anything that you did. It's because you were essayed by a jinn and they took your energy, they took your light. If you're having essay dreams, when you wake up, you gotta pray to God that He delivers you from whatever succubus or incubus is attached to you, because if you just let it be, more and more of them are gonna be attached to you, and it just leads to a whole myriad of problems. I actually made a video about this completely because this is a crazy subject. So I'm gonna leave it at the end of the video. I'm gonna link it because it's crazy, absolute wild. Shape-shifting. Jinns, since they're made out of energy, they can choose whatever form that they deem fit for whatever intention they have for you. And this could be like in your dreams, or it can be in real life. So for example, let's say you're dreaming and there's a huge monster that's chasing you and it's causing you a lot of stress. You're scared, right? The whole dream you're just being chased. You're running, your heart's pounding, etc. This is a jinn that is harassing you. It's implanting fear, it's implanting paranoia. You wake up, you feel anxiety, you're scared. Oh, it's not this, you're being harassed by a jinn. Essay you. So if a jinn wants to essay you, they're gonna choose a form of a very attractive woman or a very attractive man, depending on what you like. And they know exactly what you like. And they're gonna choose forms of people that you know in real life. So you gotta have this awareness that anybody in your dream comes and tries to hook up with you, A'udhu billah. You gotta tell them to F off, right? But you fear God. that you don't want anything to do with that person, and then they're gonna leave you alone, because these things need your consent. They cannot SA you unless you're agreeing to partake in these activities with these. All right, so that's essential to know, guys. They cannot SA you without your consent. Harass/bully you. So sometimes jinns are gonna take on the form of regular looking people, humans. So this can be either in dreams or in real life, guys. So in your dreams, if you've ever had dreams where people, just random people, are being mean to you and doing all sorts of nonsense to you, like they're bullying you, they're talking smack, maybe you're fighting with them, like physically fighting. If you've ever had those dreams where you're fighting with people and they're like really slow punches and they don't do anything, there's a jinn that you're fighting. They'll talk all kinds of smack. Maybe they'll try to like steal your car in your dreams, maybe steal your property. And divination. So jinns, they can give you secret information about other people or events or the future. So this is a big time sin. They do this because obviously they know that it's gonna damn your soul, and it's a temptation for a lot of people because people are just curious. Physical illness. Jinns can make you sick, physically ill. So they can give you headaches, they can give you fatigue, backaches, arthritis, epilepsy, even in extreme cases, cancer. And a telltale sign that this is from a jinn is that if there's no root cause and doctors don't know what it is and there's no cure, doctors can't cure it because this is something that's stemming from the spiritual realm. There's no medicine for the spiritual realm. The only way you can cure something like this is through God's mercy. Mental illness. A lot of mental illnesses are associated with jinns. So this includes anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and most famously, schizophrenia. How you're gonna know that these mental illnesses is coming from jinns is, once again, if there's no root cause and there's no cure, this is a jinn that is making this person mentally ill. And it's not curable with anything that comes from earth. It's only curable with the help of God, with divine intervention. Illusions. So jinns, they can actually make you see things that aren't actually there. A lot of movies make a reference to this. Oculus, the movie with the mirror that's evil, and it makes people see things that aren't there and go into like basically alternate realities. There's some truth in this. There's a jinn based out of the Middle East that tricks people that are walking through the desert, tricks people into seeing an oasis in the middle of the desert, only to have them get lost, and then they pass away. Bend reality to their will. So these are the most powerful of the jinns. These are the head honchos here. These big boys, they can change your reality to the point where every single thing in your life goes bad. Right? You can also call this a curse, you can call it bad luck. What could this include? It can include a lot of things, but the most common being job loss, marriage failure, infertility, miscarriages, accidents, and even losing your life, death. Obviously this is scary, but the key thing that you guys have to remember is that none of these things can happen if you have a close relationship with God. Okay, because what is God? He is our wali. He is our guardian, our protector. And obviously no one's going to be able to outmaneuver, outpower the creator of the universe, the king of the universe. So if you have a close relationship with God, don't worry about it. Now, if he wills it, let's say like he wants to test you, he wants to go through some sort of trial and tribulation to test your faith, that's a different story. But more common than not, guys, the people that suffer from jinn influence, from these nefarious jinn activities in their lives, are disbelievers, the wicked, hypocrites. These are the people that say they believe in God and then they're sinning with the worst of them. So these people as well are opening doors through their sins for these jinns to come into their life, cause them a lot of problems. I can tell you right now that 90% of the problems out there right now in people's lives stem from jinn activities, because they are essentially giving them permission for these jinns to come into their lives and wreak havoc and cause them all sorts of issues. But when you repent to God and you actively try to do better and you pray to Him, stay on top of your prayers 5 times a day if you're Muslim, 3 a.m. prayers, all that stuff, you are fully protected. You got to keep that relationship with God tight. So what about in terms of longevity? What's going on with how long they live? So we have to remember, guys, that jinns are born and they die, just like us. But the key difference here is that they don't have a physical body. So because of this, they can live much longer than us. I'm talking thousands of years. But we have to remember that these beings are mortal. They're not invincible, despite what many people believe about demons and jinns, that you can't hurt them. It's not true. They can be held captive and they can be killed. Solomon was an expert at controlling jinns. He could trap them in lamps, bottles, and would punish them if they didn't follow his commands. Jinns also have personalities. So some jinns are kind, some jinns are wicked. Some jinns are pranksters. There's jinns out there that like to scare people for fun because they think it's funny. The key is here that 99% of interactions that you'll ever have with jinns are going to be with the wicked ones, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it forbidden for jinns to interact with humans. So jinns are invisible 99% of the time, but sometimes they're going to take on physical forms, especially if they want to interact with us. So some of the more common physical forms that they'll take is black dogs, black cats, black birds, so like crows, ravens, cattle, so that includes like sheep, like black sheeps, and then finally snakes and scorpions. These are really common for jinns to show up in these forms. It's funny too, because like society gives you clues about this reality. For example, you know, the black sheep of the family. What does that mean? It's the evil one of the family. Where'd that come from? You know, or black cats. If you see a black cat, that's bad luck. Where'd that come from? Have you ever asked yourself? There's always a bit of reality behind these superstitions. A really famous case of a jinn appearing as a black dog. If you guys have heard of David Berkowitz, who was a serial killer in the 80s in New York City. I believe he shot and killed like 8 people. So David Berkowitz claimed that a black Labrador that was actually an ancient demon told him, commanded him to kill all these people. You know, to the average person, you're gonna think he's completely insane. But once you actually start to learn about the reality of this world that we live in, and you find out that this stuff is real, then you realize that David Berkowitz wasn't crazy. Jinns can also take on the forms of trees. So there's a lot of reference to this reality in a lot of pop culture. So if you guys remember the movie, The Lord of the Rings, Treebeard, it was sort of like it was like a massive tree that was able to talk and move around and stuff. This was based off of this reality. And then you got Mortal Kombat. In Mortal Kombat, if you remember, if you used to play the game, there was a round where literally the background was a whole bunch of trees opening their mouths and yelling, screaming, right? This again is showcasing this reality that some trees are in fact not trees. They are jinns taking on the form of trees. I got another story here. So I remember hearing this story about this man that was walking in the middle of the night near a forest, and he heard a voice coming from the forest. It was calling him. So he thought it was maybe someone that needed help. So he goes into the forest and he sees a face on the tree, and it was speaking to him. And it gave him instructions. It was telling him to, if you follow these instructions and if you touch the tree, he would be rewarded great treasures. So this man, he knew that this interaction was insidious, so immediately he bolted, ran right outside the forest. So guys, this is 100,000% a reality. Some jinns can take on the forms of trees. We have to remember, guys, that when jinns are in physical forms, they have to play by our rules, the physical world rules, meaning that they will be vulnerable to being hurt physically, and they can also be killed much easier when they're in their physical form. So, little keynote there for you guys. The gods, lowercase g, of the ancient world were all jinns. The most powerful coming from the Middle East and Africa. So who exactly were these jinns? Well, many of them are actually named in the Bible. And A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim. So before I name these jinns off, guys, I want to make this very clear. That when you speak the names of these jinns, these demons, it has the power to invoke them. And then they can come into your life and cause all kinds of mess. So I'm only naming them for educational reasons. I prayed a lot before making this video for protection against these jinns. Just giving you a heads up. Always try your best to not say these names out loud. So, in the Bible, it talks about Baal, Astaroth, Moloch, Beelzebul, Melkart, and then Iblis, Lucifer, Satan. So these are the main Canaanite deities that were worshipped before God came into picture. These guys are listed in the Bible. These were real deities, real spirits are worshipped, and 100,000%, these weren't made up beings, guys. These guys, these are the big boys. Absolutely real, absolutely evil. So outside of the Canaanite deities, we have the Greek pantheon. So this includes Zeus, Ares, Poseidon, Aphrodite, all these spirits. So 100%, these are real as well. Then we got the Egyptian pantheon, extremely powerful deities. So that includes Horus, Ra, Thoth, Set. Then you got the Hindu gods. So that includes Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesh, right? And then these Hindu deities, they're still being worshipped. There's still entire temples where people sacrifice food. They sacrifice their own hair. They sacrifice all kinds of things to receive favor from these spirits. And then we move on to the Sumerians, to Babylon, right? Enki, Enlil, Anunnaki, right? The creator alien gods. These were jinns, guys. And then you got the religion of, the African religion of Ifa. You got Oshun, right? The goddess of abundance and fertility. Right? Beyonce is always strutting around acting like she's Oshun, wearing her dresses and stuff, right? That's from Ifa. She's real, 100% real. You know, and then you move on to the Americas, Quetzalcoatl, right? Mectacichuatl. These are Aztec deities that would make their people sacrifice humans towards them, thousands of them, right? Like I said, guys, 100% evil, you know, because before God came into picture, the world was ruled by these jinns. And when these jinns ruled the world was full of corruption and chaos. Human sacrifice everywhere, child sacrifice everywhere, homosexuality everywhere, just war all the time. And then God came into picture and completely destroyed all these deities, expelled them. Literally, it was a massive exorcism of the world. And this is listed in the Bible, guys, right? God calls out all these deities. The Egyptian deities, calls them out, calls out these Canaanite deities that I just listed off. These aren't made up fantasies, right? These spirits ruled the world, and then God came into picture and vanquished all of them. And that's why we live in the comfort of the current world right now. Well, a lot more comfortable than it used to be, that's for sure. It's because of God. But recently, if you guys have noticed, the world is in pure chaos. What's the world full of, especially in the West? It's full of homosexuality. It's full of child sacrifice. It's full of human sacrifice. It's full of corruption, greed, and forgetfulness of God. What do you think is causing these problems in our society? These jinns, guys, are back. I'm actually going to make a separate video about this topic because it's extremely important that we realize that this complete insanity that's going on right now in the world. We all know this is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. These people are not rational. These people are being puppeteered by these ancient deities. That's why the world is in chaos right now, guys. These spirits are back. Guys, if you're loving this knowledge that I'm imparting for you, please like, comment, and subscribe. A whole lot of research goes into these subjects, and at the end of the day, I'm just trying to help people. Thanks a lot. Peace. The jinn in pop culture. Guys, Hollywood loves to give you clues about this hidden reality of the unseen realm and the jinn. In the movie Aladdin, the genie that came out of the bottle and granted Aladdin 3 wishes, he was in fact a jinn. And in real life, they were actually mostly concealed in jars and bottles. Lamps, not so often, but it did happen every once in a while. If you guys remember the song Genie in the Bottle by Christina Aguilera, this song is all about a jinn being released to grant the person their wish. Pokemon. The kids' TV show Pokemon makes a reference to jinns. If you remember, the kids capture these Pokemon using capsules, just like Solomon would use bottles and jars to capture jinns. Jinns in human form. Jinns, just like angels, can take on human form as well. I guarantee many of you have encountered jinns and never realized it. What they'll do is they'll build relationships with you to influence you to stray off the straight path and make bad decisions. Have you ever encountered someone in your life that influenced you to make a bad choice only to fall off the face of the earth shortly after meeting them? This sort of shape-shifting is referenced in the movie It. It shows up disguised as a sweet little old woman, only to come running in his demon form to terrorize the young lady. The movie Jennifer's Body with Megan Fox. This movie is actually based on a real Islamic jinn species called Asila, where they will take on the form of an attractive female and lure men to an isolated place only to devour them. Freddy Krueger. So we have to remember, guys, that jinns have the power to come into our dreams and physically attack us while we sleep. This is why you'll notice when you get hurt in dreams, many times it feels real because it's actually happening. Sometimes people will even wake up with bloody scratches and bruises from these encounters. Nightmare on Elm Street is giving you clues into this reality. Jinns and their territories. So when it comes down to jinns, where they mostly live, most of them live in the oceans, i.e. the marine kingdom. Satan's throne is actually located in the middle of the ocean. And where exactly is his throne? Well, people speculate either the Devil's Sea off the coast of Japan or the Bermuda Triangle off the coast of Florida, because these are places where a lot of paranormal activity happens and countless boats and planes have disappeared in these places. So when it comes down to the land, jinns still rule over certain geographical areas. You gotta think of it almost like kingdoms. So wherever their kingdom is expanded to, the people that live within this geographical area are prone to certain sins and certain behaviors. And this is because these jinn races, we'll call it, specialize in certain sins and behaviors which these people partake in. So you're gonna notice, guys, that whenever you go travel to other parts of the world, you're gonna notice that people are more prone to certain behaviors. You know, certain parts of the world are more prone for lust. Other parts of the world are more prone to greed. Others, magic, disbelief, forgetfulness of God, and then violence. Certain parts of the world are more violent, right? It's not the people themselves. This is the spirits in the heavenly realms, the jinns, demons, that are affecting the hearts and minds of these people. So I'll elaborate a little bit further here. So if we think about the Aztec Empire, what they would do is they would sacrifice, they're notorious for this, they would sacrifice thousands of people, human sacrifice, to their deities, to their jinns, in return for blessings and favor. So now we fast forward to our modern age. What's going on in Mexico and Central America and Latin America in general? We have the cartels, the Mexican cartels, the Colombian cartels, the Venezuelan gangs, MS-13, all these organizations sacrificing thousands of people to demons, to jinns. Cartels, Santa Muerte, MS-13, ritual killings to Satan. With the Colombian cartels, the Venezuelan gangs. These organizations are so successful because they're receiving blessings from these demons. You know, this is not a coincidence, guys. It's not a coincidence that sinful behaviors that were happening thousands of years ago are still happening right now in the same geographic areas. There's this Bible verse that really encapsulates this point. It's Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. The Bible is telling you straight up, this is what's going on in the world. So let's say you're dealing with a jinn disturbance. Maybe they're giving you nightmares, maybe they're harassing you some sort of way, but you're having bad luck, etc., and you think it's a jinn. How do you handle this? Well, first off, guys, don't be afraid, okay? Because when you're afraid of jinns, they're gonna come at you that much harder. They love fear. They feed off of it, and it gives them power, okay? So don't be afraid of them. I mean, you have nothing to be afraid of because you got God by your side. All right, number 2, speak confidently. If they're bothering you at night for whatever reason, you feel their presence, yell at them. Straight up yell at them, tell them to get out and to leave you alone. And then better yet, actually, say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, which means I seek refuge with Allah from the accursed shaitan. And this automatically, this holy phrase is gonna make them flee. It burns them. And just to sort of elaborate more on that point, if you're disturbed by jinns, guys, and they wake you up and you feel their presence, so on top of saying A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, also make sure to pray to God that he protects you and that he helps you get rid of these jinns. And then many times, this will definitely get rid of the jinns. But sometimes God does like to test your faith and put you in some sort of trial, and this would be considered a trial. So that's good to know as well. Make sure you're on top of your prayers. So a lot of times, guys, when jinns are disturbing you, causing problems in your life, it's because our religious game, our deen, isn't where it needs to be. So if you're missing prayers, if you're sinning and you're not repenting, this is gonna give them permission for them to come into your life and bother you. So definitely very important to stay on top of your prayers, guys. Not just to protect you from evil, but it's also so many benefits that come with that for your afterlife, for your current life, attract blessings, all that stuff. Say Bismillah when you come into your house. Specifically say Bismillah and enter with your right foot first. Because when you do this, this automatically cleanses your home and protects it from any jinns entering your house. And then dhikr. So, you know, I wear this tasbih, and this tasbih has 99 beads on it. And, you know, whenever I feel an evil presence or I feel like uncomfortable, I'll just say astaghfirullah, 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 subhanallah, 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 Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, right? So these holy words invoke the presence of God. It invokes his angels to surround you, and it'll get rid of any negative energy. Last but not least, guys, close portals that are open in your life. So this includes astrology, right? If you're doing astrology, you gotta stop doing that. Numerology, stop doing that. If you have any books on the occult, get rid of them. You know, music that's dark, satanic, stop listening to it. But movies, horror movies, open portals, guys. A lot of things open portals. You guys already know. But yeah, we gotta make sure if they're bothering you, make sure you gotta think really hard about what sort of portals might be open in your home, and you gotta nip it in butt right away. So I want to remind you guys that if you have a close relationship with God, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that jinns are nothing to worry about. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions many times that He's going to protect us. He is the best of all protectors, our wali, right? Our protector, our guardian, our Lord. So He's got your back. Now, sometimes they're going to bother you, but that's okay. It's soft, right? Now, the people that don't believe, or they're wicked, or they're hypocrites, you know, all these categories, these are the people that need to be afraid. These are the people that are vulnerable to really bad jinn attacks. And as the Quran says, guys, in Ayah al-Araf 7:27, we appoint devils as companions to those that don't believe. Right? So God is straight up telling you that people that are disbelievers, wicked, hypocrites, that they have demons that are constantly harassing them and causing them problems in their lives because they don't believe, because they don't have that relationship with God. I want to also make this point that whenever you go out in the world, and let's say like you're walking around downtown in the city, you're in a mall, Walmart, whatever, you're going to notice, guys, that when you look at people, you're going to start to notice the jinns that are attached to them. So let's say, for example, a man gives off this energy of anger. He seems very angry, he's tense, right? He has a jinn of anger attached to him. A woman, she's dressed very seductive. She's showing off a lot of skin. She looks like she's very promiscuous, right? She has a jinn of lust attached to her. So these are examples of that Quran verse that I just told you, where jinns are companions to those that disbelieve. And, you know, so these people, guys, they are in absolute need of God. And if you know someone in your life that you're close with, like friends, family members, and they're not close with God, and you notice these behaviors, you gotta make dua for this person. You gotta pray for this person. But they find God, and that He leads them to Him through His mercy to save them from these jinns and save them from a terrible afterlife. You know, never underestimate the power of prayer. It is your most powerful weapon in the spiritual realm, and it can move mountains. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks a lot. Peace.